Muse Music Store and Mahaska County Conservation Board presents Eveland Access Summerfest Music by the River 2024, June 1st from noon to 10 p.m., featuring 8 musical artists with live music, activities like bingo, sand volleyball, and cornhole, food, and much, much more. It's a free event at the Eveland Access Campgrounds at 2890 Galveston Avenue, Oskaloosa. Bring a friend and have a lot of fun at the Eveland Access Summerfest 2024 Music by the River, June 1st from noon to 10 at the Eveland Access Campgrounds.
And now, your hosts of the Card Subject to Change podcast, the For Frequency's Sake Tag Team Champions of the World, the Wizard CZ, and Never Wrong Nick Bull.
Hello, one and all. Welcome to another exciting edition of the Card Subject to Change podcast. Of course, you're at the home of the podcast for the fan, by the fan. We are powered by Lopez Pizza, built by Durham Remodeling, colored by Ryan Allison Tattoo, and protected by Jared Zook Country Financial. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, Never Wrong Nick Bull. I'd be remiss if I didn't introduce my co-host. We're in the same room today recording this. The Wizard CZ. Wiz, how you doing over there?
Man, I'm feeling good. It is a beautiful day here at the Highview Lounge and Studio. I'm excited. We got some fun stuff to talk about. We're reviewing the King and Queen of the Ring premium live event from Saudi Arabia, episode 125.
125.
Before we get to that, Nick, I posted it on Facebook, but we have yet to announce it on the air.
Yep.
We got some merch, baby.
Yeah, we do. Go ahead and plug that. We do have some merch out there if you want your own Card Subject to Change gear. CZ, fill them in real quick.
So we are on TeePublic, TeePublic. Just search for Card Subject to Change. The link is on Facebook. I will be posting it on our other socials here again in the near future. But we've got our new Card Subject to Change. The only difference between the shirts we had previously is that it says established in 2022. And we have my favorite shirt that is out there. We've got 2 designs right now. We have our famous catchphrase.
Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the show.
But it's not just t-shirts. You can get coffee mugs, tote bags. I believe I said coffee mugs.
You said coffee mugs.
There's a bunch of stuff on there. Go check it out. Buy a t-shirt if you want to support the show. We appreciate that. We love you guys for tuning in. I think it's fantastic. And it's nice that we have that.
And you can throw that link onto this later and tag it on the show, can you not?
Exactly. I'll put it in the comments.
He'll throw the link on so you can click on the link. If you have to scratch that itch, that is, to get some Card Subject to Change gear, there is some available for you out there. Yeah, thank you very much, CZ, for letting the folks and fans know about that. Episode 125, Ring Royalty. This is kind of an odd occurrence for us to be in the same room when we record a show. We try to do it on these immediate reacts right after these afternoon pay-per-views. I love afternoon wrestling. It's great. We got the rest of our day now. Now we don't have to worry about going to work tomorrow and the scare of Monday morning. We got the rest of our weekend. It's Memorial Day weekend, and we were treated to King and Queen of the Ring from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, of course, on the other side of the world. So a noon local start time for us. And I like these. You go into it and you're like, oh, there's only 5 matches. Yeah, but that tells you you're going to get a show around 3 hours or just a little bit under. And there's nothing wrong with that. Especially there's an abundance of wrestling this weekend and an abundance of wrestling to review here for us on Card Subject to Change, which we're looking forward to. But today we get a 5-match pay-per-view out of WWE in a show that runs just a little bit under 3 hours.
And the thing that I like about a 5-match pay-per-view is you can almost always guarantee that it's going to be a quality show because everyone's going to get time to do what they need to do. You don't have to rush through 10 or 12 matches, and it's not going to be 4 or 5 hours on a Sunday night when you're getting ready to go to work the next morning.
Right.
Of course, you know who I'm talking about, which they do have a show tomorrow. Thankfully, it is Memorial Day weekend. But we're not here to talk about AEW. We'll talk about that on Monday. So stay tuned for that. This was another solid effort. I think WWE has really done a good job with their pay-per-views of late. There's been maybe a stinker match or two, but rarely a stinker event.
Yeah, coming off WrestleMania, coming off Backlash, and the crowd that we had for Backlash in Lyon, France. The momentum. WWE's been on a roll. The shows have been good. We're getting the conclusion of the Queen and the King of the Ring tournaments rolled into this one. It's Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. It's an enthusiastic crowd. You had to think going into this, there was no way the Saudi Arabian crowd could hold a candle to the French's effort. They tried. It was not a dead show crowd-wise. They really did try, and they were involved, just not to the extent, maybe to the volume that the French crowd was. But that doesn't take away from this pay-per-view. I thought another fun pay-per-view, great by any means, no. Bad by any means, no. It's a pretty so-so show, and there's nothing wrong with that. We've been treated to a lot of good wrestling, lately. We were treated to some good wrestling on this show. Just not the greatest pay-per-view ever, but we both liked it. We both had fun watching it. I think it's easier to wrap your mind around. It's easier to enjoy when there's not 10 matches on a card.
I agree.
On a 5-match card, nothing's getting cut. Nothing's getting cut due to time. If it did, you've got a horrible producer and a horrible timer of a show if you're cutting something on a 5-match show. So there's a good chance, a better chance you're running into full matches. Let the story breathe. Let the match play out. You're getting that on these 5-match cards. And I think it not only it showcases your wrestlers more. You're not just doing a drive-by with all your talent. You're showcasing your talent. You're giving time for matches to breathe. You're giving time for people to build their character. You're giving time for stuff to evolve in real time. I don't think you get that on a more jam-packed show. Maybe that's why they're going with this 5-match approach.
And obviously, Saudi shows are a big deal with the agreement. I believe it's how long? It's a 5-year.
It was a 10-year. It was a 10-year deal. Yeah.
So obviously, they're a big deal. And, you'll have the fans out there that'll be like, well, why wasn't so-and-so on the show? Why wasn't this person on the show? You don't need to overload your cards. And I think that happens way too often in a lot of areas where you're trying to get more talent on, you're trying to get more people to pay them, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah. And this is a cost-effective thing maybe for WWE. You're shipping people to halfway, other side of the world. The SmackDown crew was there. So you saw a lot of the SmackDown people either featured on the card, or if they weren't on the card, guess what? They were featured in the audience. They called out DIY or DIY. They called out the Street Profits. They called out everybody's favorite Tiffy time in the crowd watching. So Chelsea Green, another thing, was in the crowd watching. So the people that were on SmackDown, they tried to use them as much as possible since they were there for SmackDown. They're not going to bring the Raw people over unless they were on this card. So that was your Gunther, that was your Lyra Valkyrie, that was Sammy, Gable, Bronson Reed. They brought the bare minimum over for Raw. It makes sense. It's a cost-effective thing, and you don't have to have the way they built this pay-per-view. They built it well. Like I never once thought during the buildup of this pay-per-view CZ, like, God, they better add some more matches. There's not enough matches. Never once thought that. I thought they had a really good job of what they of putting on the plate what they had, cooking it up, developing it, and not really having us want any more than we got. And I thought I like that approach. I really do.
Oh, I agree. And the matches that we had all felt like they meant something. Let's kick it off with sometimes we go in order, sometimes we go out of order. I want to save the last 2 matches for last. I think those were the best 2 on the card.
Yep.
Let's just start at the beginning and talk about Becky and Liv.
Very important to note, if we're talking about Becky and Liv, there was that interview on the pre-show with Byron Saxton, Liv Morgan, and then Dominic Mysterio comes in. And Dominic said he was going to do all he could to keep Mommy's title out of Liv Morgan's hands. So that was on the pre-show, and that was, I think we need to know about that going into this match.
And I want to ask you this, kind of with that being said.
Sure.
There have been several instances WWE does not do things on accident, where you have seen hints of something going on between Liv and Dominic.
Sure.
You see Dominic's bandana in loose pocket at one point. You see them both coming out of the same room behind an interview at one point.
Yep.
So was Dominic really there to prevent Liv from getting Mommy's title? Or is there something else going on?
On the surface, he could have been. On the surface, that very well could be the answer, that he was there to prevent that title from getting in Mommy's hands. But as you know, that did not work. His plan backfired, which means more turmoil now for the Judgment Day. Maybe Dom was there against Priest's orders. Maybe Priest obviously didn't know that Dom went there. Maybe Priest didn't know that what Dom was going to do. Dom may be acting alone here, or acting behind Damian Priest's back, which I think is a big story. So a lot of layers to this match. A good back and forth match between Becky and Liv. First time we've really got to see Liv work since her comeback. She's had some shorter stuff, but nice long form match here with Becky. I think I made the comment to you, maybe to our buddy Mass, who's a fan of the show, when we were watching the pay-per-view. Excuse me, give these women credit. They're used to wrestling each other. I'm not being sexist when I say this. They're used to wrestling each other with less clothing on. I think it's got to be hard for them to wrestle in those full body suits that they do in Saudi Arabia. And I think it's got to be, I think it's hard for both of them. And I think it'd be really hard to go into it full tilt. When you're wrestling in something you're not normally wrestling in, that head to toe leather jumpsuit that they wear, they're required to wear when they're over in Saudi. So props to the ladies in this match. Becky kind of looked like a butler with her thing, and Liv Morgan
wearing a tuxedo without the tie,
like a piece of licorice. That's how we kind of classified them here at the Highview Watch Party. That's why I got my sunglasses on. We got the doors open here at the Highview. It's a beautiful day. Recording this media react show for Ring Royalty episode 125 here on the Card Subject to Change. Beautiful day. Hope you're enjoying your day as well as you listen back to this show, and we hope you enjoyed the show. Let us know what you think about the show. Hit us on our socials. Give us your thoughts on what you thought the match of the card was, how the show was, and all in general, what you liked about the show. Hit us up, and we'll definitely catch you back on those, get you answered on those. But yeah, do you have any more thoughts about this opening match besides what I've said?
I thought the ending was really well put together. I think it was done the right way because you don't really know what's going on between Liv and Dom. Yeah, on the surface, you've got Dom trying to protect Mommy's title, but you've got hints at other things going on behind the scenes. So it'll be interesting to see where things shape out and what happens when Mommy gets back in ring shape and comes back to perform for us.
Hey, you bring up a good point there. A lot of stuff's been happening in the background on Raw. The interview segments backstage, you see stuff happening. But I think everybody really noticed and jumped on the Liv and Dom leaving the same room, having a secret meeting down the hallway that one night. That seems to be the polarizing moment that people are talking about with these backstage subtle hints. So gives you a reason to watch closer on that backstage stuff. But yeah, is Dom acting alone? We don't know. Dom has obviously got some interest in Liv, and Liv's got some interest in Dom. And Dom's face when the chair tactic backfired and Liv was able to DDT Becky onto the chair and get the win, get the chair out of the ring. It was a look of shock and awe, but it wasn't an upsetting look.
Right.
So I like how Dom played that. He gets so much good heat in this company Going to get more now when they get stateside and recap this on Monday's show. You would think that he'll definitely get some heat over this, but his involvement sparked a lot of interest and kind of piqued the interest of this match. And they're in the closing moments, and he looked upset, but not too upset when Liv took Mommy's gold. So it's something to keep an eye on.
One more thing I want to point out,
Sure.
and that's the commentary at the end of this match.
Sure.
Is obviously we notice the things that are going on in the background, but the commentators don't seem to notice these background things that are happening. I mean, sure, the QR codes that have been coming up that are teasing, which we'll talk about at another time.
Yeah.
Michael Cole did mention those on the air this past Monday on Raw, but as far as like the whole Liv and Dom coming out of that same room, Michael Cole was completely oblivious because he called Dom an idiot for costing Becky the title.
I like that we're not brought up to speed on that by the announcers.
Yes.
It's kind of the unspoken narrative. It's the part of the show you need to watch without us telling you what's going on. We're going to let you speculate on it. We're not going to tell you what's going on. And I think it adds a dimension, not only to the show, not only to the talent by all involved. It adds a dimension to fandom. It gives us something more to talk about.
Absolutely. It does.
I like that Graves and Cole are not acknowledging what's going on backstage. Like, hey, they probably know, the fans know, but they're not going to say that they know. And I like that. I like that right now. I really like that production, that